Baking in marmoset. So I'm going to take a look at Sona's file here. There are some issues that we need to figure out what's going on, and let's see what's happening. Let marmoset load for a second here. Okay, so it's done loading. I'm gonna take a look. So this is the default normal map. That normal map does look a little bit odd here. There's some very sharp not seams, but just lines. Very unusual things happening. So let's take a look. Okay, so first, aside from these issues, they're a little more ambiguous to fix, but this area here, this is a little bit more straightforward, and this is basically a smoothing group error. So you need to harden your edges whenever you hit more than 90 degrees along a surface in your low poly. And then when I pulled up that file, the low poly 2, we have some additional errors. Some of those errors being the low poly eyes, which are actually quite dense. I think we'll talk about that. I think you should just create a sphere primitive for here. So if I went to create like a sphere, maybe rotating this 90 degrees, and then division wise, I don't know, maybe 12. Yeah, I wouldn't go over that, because once you smooth normals on this, it'll be pretty hard to see. I mean, you could go higher too, but yeah, you can go higher, but that's not a big issue right now. So let's get rid of that, and then I'm going to reopen this file, or let's make a new scene. I'm going to drag the FBX file back in, and we'll take this here. And so, I mean, the first thing too is, just as I look at this, I can just see that there's a problem. So what is that problem? It's, in this case, unmerged verts. This also could look like a very kind of low, like a smoothing group problem, but let's go ahead and grab those verts, and I'm going to go to merge vertices, and that should do it. So now if I grab this, and then I can go ahead and soften everything and see what's happening there. Okay, so it looks like you did go through and you hardened some edges, but we need to go back in and oh, okay, what's going on here? Ooh, that's not good. Okay, that's not good. What's happening? Oh, is it this pocket? So this pocket here, we have some overlapping faces, like that. Okay, so I can get rid of that. Now I am free to move everything else around. And let's go back in and merge these verts. And then I will soften these edges. Okay, so slowly fixing some of these, and then trying to figure out what's happening. Okay, and then the rest is just merge verts. So now if I soften that, okay, cool. This triangulation is a bit of a problem. As if you can see part of the triangle from the opposite side, that's a bad thing. So let's pull this out. I'm gonna pull this in like so. If I could also just triangulate some of the stuff too to make it work better. And then here, I think I don't like how there's this crazy even overhang, so I'm going to kind of just pull it back in. It doesn't really matter because we're baking down to like a surface, so that's not a huge deal. Let's go ahead and soften this, and then let's go ahead and I'm gonna start hardening them. So, oops. Yeah. Let's turn that all back off. Okay, so you notice how I'm softening, but nothing, or hardening, nothing's happening. I think what we need to do whenever your normals get kind of busted like that, let's go ahead and merge these again. I'm going to go ahead and delete history, and then we will go to mesh display. I'm going to unlock the normals. There we go. That looks better. Just make sure everything's okay. Let's going to reset everything. I'm going to set every surface normal or face normal to the face, so that's basically hardening everything, and then I'll soften this, and then I should be ready to start hardening everything. So I'll harden this. I'll fix that later. Let's deselect a bunch of stuff here. Deselect that, harden that, and then we will harden this. Yeah, so if you're coming from Max, this is basically Maya's way of assigning smoothing groups, except you're not doing it based off of numbers. You're just saying this edge is hard, this edge is soft. I think it's actually a lot more straightforward in my mind, but both methods are perfectly fine. I'm going to move this vert down. I'll leave it alone. And I feel like, oh, what's happening here? So we have one edge, and then I'm going to go ahead again, type history. And now we have our clean mesh. Now I have some unintentional hardened edges, and I think after that we should be good to go. I think this should be okay. Ooh. Okay, so I don't know if I did that by accident, but this should really just be a loop across. Maybe my merge threshold was too high, so it merged it by accident. But just keep in mind when you're fixing your mesh, go ahead and get that. And then you'll probably want to get this eye a little bit more recessed so that it doesn't clip through your eyelids here. But that should be enough. And then what we can do then is, let's just grab all of this. I'm going to export this selection as an FBX. Hopefully, even though I didn't make this file, hopefully Marmoset will just update it for me. So I'll overwrite this, and it should just reload everything. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to assign a regular Lambert's to here, and it's not auto updating. Probably because I didn't make it myself here. Or we can try this again. Okay, well, wait a minute. This is weird. Take a look. Okay, no, we don't want to. Okay, so that was the other problem. I think when I was dissecting this file earlier, the reason why you're getting two of these, or these weird start to color tones in your normal map is that you have two high polys. So let's go ahead and delete them. So I'll delete these, and I guess we'll just have to bring in the low poly again. So I'm just gonna click and drag, or you know, let's delete this, and then I'll delete this, and I'm gonna click and drag this high poly back in. So this is okay, and we'll just reassign these to those that low group bake. And now, wait a minute. Okay, so the eyes are still not looking correct. And yeah, I forgot to soften that. And let's go ahead and do this again. And hopefully now that so now that I've input everything on my end, this will all work correctly, or the auto updating will work correctly. Okay. Oh, what is it? Let's get rid of that. Oh. And then okay. Now we should be good to go. I can click on the baker now, and then let's take a look at the oh, wait a minute. Why is that still hard? Okay, so let's try this again. I'm going to unlock it. Why is this not? Let's make sure we're exporting everything again. Export this. Bring this in. Still, there's a hard edge. So I just have to, I don't understand. So it's base again. Let's export this, see what happens. So this is me trying to troubleshoot everything. Seeing if it's actually auto-updating. Alright, cool. That's auto-updating. And I guess I'll just do this again. And I'll be a little bit more careful about how I select things. Like that. You know what? To kind of stop this from doing that, I'm going to terminate things this way. That way I can get rid of this edge here. This is still a little messy, but it's okay. We'll keep moving on. Alright, so now when I double click on these, I can alright, what's happening here? Okay, we have double faces again. Or we have faces on top of faces, so that's not good. Turn off symmetry. That would explain why if you look at how this is shading group error, or is happening here and not here. That's because we have a bunch of stuff that we need to get rid of. Okay, okay, we're good. We're good. So now let's try this again. Soften edge. Okay, so yeah, now that's perfectly mirrored. Just to be safe, I'm going to unlock normals. That I don't know why I keep doing that, because that's really not an issue. Usually you have to specify when you lock the normals, and I think usually when you export as a file like a FAX or OBJ, that is when you will get hardened edges. I also believe that's like an option you can turn on and off, but okay, let's turn on symmetry again, and then I'll harden this. Harden that. Just gonna double check. Oops. Okay, let's try this again. So let's delete history. I think your eye is also kind of distorted because the way it's smooth, normal smooth on it. Yeah, there's something that's not right. I really recommend you just rebuild a new eye. But let's go ahead and yeah, that's gonna look weird. So let's export this. Go back into marmosets, and all right, cool. Now we are clean for sure. So now when I bring this back into the low version of the bakes, I can go click on the baker here, where you can hit the preview button and let it do its thing. Okay, so now when we look at this bake, this looks a lot better. We still have some things to fix here. I wonder why we're still getting a bake area around there. It could be if I turn on the high poly. Oops. Okay, so I think part of it is that your low poly is slightly off. So if I turn it on and off, this profile, the silhouette is actually a little bit different. So I recommend you probably adjust your low poly again. And then, but to kind of help with these buttons, see how they're looking a little bit like not quite sitting on the surface. Let's go to the cage or whatever this is, the low group. I'm going to click on the paint skew, and then I'll paint this here. I guess it's locked to the screen, and then I'll paint that here, and we'll hit done. And I'm going to turn off show skew. Maybe we'll change that offset a little bit. Yeah, I guess for now, since I don't have, or since I'm not, I'll just show you how to fix it on this end here, and that should help. But I think really the problem is your low poly is no longer sitting on the surface, or it's not sitting very cleanly with your high poly. But after you get that fixed, that shouldn't be a lot better. We can probably adjust some of these by, let's see here, do I paint the skew here? Oops. Oh wait, that's odd. They look different. Maybe it's, no, I think this is all fine. Let's get out of this. And then we'll go back to Baker. Let's hit preview. Make it bake some of that stuff again. Wait, what happened here? I'm just gonna undo a bunch of stuff. I think I just went to. All right, let's clear that. That should reset this. done. To invert, I will, okay, yeah, so that just looks weird. If you want to invert the opposite way, you just hit Control and click and drag, but I think this is okay. And I'm just going to attribute this wonkiness with how things are lining up in between your file, your high res and low res. So let's go ahead and try and bake this again. Oh, okay. So you'll notice too that I think it's a good idea to, instead of having it bake out one map per, or one file per map, let's hit multi-layer PSD, and then that's going to solve this problem of having multiple maps. But if I go ahead and, like, if I delete these three, and then I go ahead and I'm just going to bake. I think this will just do the final version, not the preview, so the settings should be better. And then now I get this K-pop maps. So if we bring this into, say, Photoshop here, now these normals look a lot different from before, right? So there's not like weirdly colored, like this weird pink going on, and then we have the AL here and material ID. The material ID is not going to give you what you expect because everything is, it looks like it's consolidated down to one mesh. So you'll have to take a look again at your high poly and make sure that things are separated out. Essentially, the reason why that's not working is your high poly mesh came in as one giant OBJ. So you have to re-export this, and then you should be good to go. Alright, I think that covers this Marmoset troubleshooting tutorial.